Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're getting into some really thought-provoking stuff. We're drawing from parts of a YouTube video. It's called PSO Puja from the ASO channel.
Right.
And our plan, really, is to unpack the speaker's own thinking as he grapples with these big ideas about the universe.
Yeah, fundamental questions.
Exactly. We'll look at how he compares different worldviews.
Yeah.
You know, is the universe generous? Is it predatory? And his views on good and evil and this idea of a perfect path.
He's sort of analyzing his own reaction almost in real time to what he calls the Yuhuchire, the worldview of the perfect, or the Yukujua.
Right. So where does he kick this off? How does he start exploring all this?
Well, he starts by laying out these really sharply contrasting views, almost like polar opposites about the universe itself.
Okay.
He mentions that NLP idea, first, the presupposition that the universe is benevolent, it's full of resources, a very optimistic view.
Positive starting point.
Definitely. But then, almost in the next breath, he brings in this totally different angle, the Don Juan perspective, which paints the universe as, well, filled with predators.
Oh, wow. Okay. So right away, it's this big clash.
Like a real dichotomy from the get-go.
Yeah. It immediately makes you, question your own baseline assumption. Are we in a garden or a jungle, cosmically speaking?
Exactly. And then he adds another layer.
Which is?
The idea of karma. This viewpoint suggests there's an inherent justice to the universe, to life itself.
Okay, so not necessarily benevolent or predatory, but
right.
Fair. Eventually.
Something like that. The idea that actions have consequences, but maybe not right away. There's a balance, but it unfolds over time.
And he builds on that, right? With this concept of kura.
Yes. The authorities of the world, as he puts it. This suggests that even if justice isn't immediate, some force or system ensures it happens eventually.
He brings in some pretty heavy concepts there.
He does. He mentions suffogatory and even these hellish layers. It paints a picture of like a cosmic accounting.
So the idea is that payback or maybe reward is inevitable.
That seems to be the core idea. After reckoning. He uses this analogy that I thought was quite vivid.
Oh, yeah.
A 90-minute football match. All the action happens during the game, but the actual result, the final score, you only know for sure at the end.
Or even after extra time or penalties.
Exactly. So his point is, don't expect instant cosmic justice. It operates on a longer time scale.
Okay, so we've got these foundational frameworks. Benevolent, hostile, and just but delayed. Where does he go from there? What does he suggest we do with these ideas?
Well, this is where it shifts towards personal choice, agency. He talks about choosing your world.
How so?
He references the Christian prayer, deliver us from the evil one. And his take on it is that a key part of faith, or maybe just living consciously, is about actively choosing which reality or which perspective you want to live in.
Interesting. So it's not just about what the universe is, but how you relate to it.
Precisely. And based on that, he lays out 3 potential paths as he sees them.
Okay. What are the options?
First, there's a kind of mixed world. Mostly good, benevolent, but yeah, there are predators, there's bad stuff in there too.
The reality most of us probably experience, maybe.
Perhaps. The second option is the world of predators, basically choosing to be a predator yourself.
Right.
And the third is what he calls the world of the Oya, this purely benevolent universe, completely free of negativity.
It really forces you to consider, where do you lean? What's your default setting, trust or suspicion?
And he also touches on why evil seems to get a foothold in our world, which he fundamentally sees as light, as good, but somehow vulnerable.
Vulnerable how?
He uses this image, ujusku ugusesku, like barrels of water contaminated by just one spoonful of tar.
So even a little bit of negativity can spoil the whole thing.
That's the idea. It suggests this inherent fragility, this potential for corruption, which seems to be part of why he's advocating for this.
Right. Let's talk about that club. He links it to the worldview of Gautama Buddha.
Yes, he presents it as aligning with that, a world where people are free from evil's influence, where they can genuinely enjoy life and, importantly, help others do the same.
Sounds pretty utopian.
It does, but he adds a crucial point. Choosing this path doesn't mean life suddenly becomes easy, no struggles.
Okay, so it's not about escaping difficulty.
Not at all. He actually says struggle is normal, at least in our corner of the universe. The main thing, the first step, is fighting for uja, for liberation from unfreedom.
Liberation first.
Yes. And then you have to fight to stay free. That's where the phrase comes in, Joshua Wako. Be prepared, always prepared.
So it's about building resilience from a place of freedom.
Exactly. It's an active, ongoing state, not a passive arrival.
Okay. Now, things take a bit of a turn because he then starts to critique the simple idea of just being good. He mentions a song.
Yeah, Sergei Mikhailuk's song, Eyuhao, which means I believe. And the speaker actually disagrees with the song's unwavering belief in just pure good.
Disagrees how? That seems counterintuitive.
It is a bit. This is where his thinking gets really nuanced. He uses the Adam and Eve story, the apple.
Okay.
His point seems to be that even good, in a way, is a step away from the original pure divine state. Not as much as evil, which he calls ani, but still a deviation.
So just striving to be, good isn't the absolute highest potential. The essence is something else.
That appears to be his argument. It's subtle. He suggests that true essence is closer to the original creator state before any splits.
Wow. And he takes it further, warning that good can even lead to evil.
Yeah, he cautions that just being good, maybe a naive or passive goodness, can be fragile. People break under hardship, under pressure, and that breakdown can lead them towards negativity.
It's quite a challenging thought.
It is. He suggests there is a path from good towards the divine, so good is like a stepping stone, maybe a temporary phase. But it can be dangerous because it might lack strength, lack force, he says, without fists.
Until it hits extreme opposition. He references February 24th.
Right. Suggesting that passive goodness might not be enough when faced with real aggressive evil. It needs teeth, perhaps, or resilience at least.
He connects this to strength and weakness in nature too, doesn't he? The dinosaurs.
He does. Herbivores versus carnivores. It's an analogy for this natural balance where maybe the seemingly nicer position isn't always the strongest or most survivable on its own.
It's a stark comparison, but it highlights this need for maybe not aggression, but certainly strength in a complex world.
Exactly. And all this thinking leads him to a pretty striking conclusion about our current reality.
Which is?
That our current state of affairs, with all its imperfections, all of the suffering and conflict, it might actually be the Emmy Watch.
The best possible option, given everything.
Given the underlying forces, the mix of good and evil, strength and weakness, yes. It's a sobering thought, suggesting this imperfect balance might be the most stable state we can achieve.
Wow. Okay. This has been quite the journey through some really deep and complex ideas.
Definitely not light stuff.
No, he's not just philosophizing abstractly. You really feel him wrestling with these questions. Is the universe kind or cruel? What are the limits of goodness? And framing it all as choices we make.
Absolutely. I think if there's one central thread, it's that emphasis on conscious choice. He argues that we're constantly, maybe unconsciously, choosing our fundamental view of reality, and that shapes everything.
Right. Our perception becomes our reality, in a sense.
Or at least shapes how we respond to it.
So as we wrap up this deep dive, here's something for you, the listener, to really chew on. Thinking about the speaker's perspective. How do you reconcile that very human desire for a world that's just purely good, purely benevolent, with the reality we see, the conflict, the suffering?
Yeah, it's a tough one.
Is goodness, as he seems to question, enough by itself? Or does our real potential, maybe our necessary path, lie somewhere beyond that simple good-evil split in navigating all the messy complexity?
A question without easy answers, for sure.
Definitely something to mull over. Thanks for joining us on The Deep Dive.